Hi, we're here at the King's Art Center on Miss Crystal, and today we're going to be doing a watercolor owl at night. And for today's project, you're going to need 2 pieces of watercolor paper. I have 2 different sizes for our project. You're going to need either a Sharpie, a black crayon, or we could also use the black watercolor. These are going to be choices up to you. We're going to have a pencil, paintbrush, and our watercolor set with water. So for our first step, we kind of want to plan out where our trees are going to be. And our trees, we're kind of going to keep them very triangle or pointy. So I'm just kind of sketching them out lightly. I don't really have to make any permanent lines right now. I can just decide how tall my trees are going to be and where they're going to be around my sky. I do want to leave a large open area for the sky. So I'm giving you guys the option of using a crayon or a Sharpie in case you don't have the black watercolor paint. I'd probably choose the crayon over the Sharpie just because you can fill a lot more area with your crayon. So when you're using the crayon, you do want to push down really hard, because if you don't, you kind of just end up with gray and not black. And I'm trying to just to keep my trees jagged. So with your crayons, when you kind of end up at the little paper, you guys can just peel the paper off. I know a lot of kids like to keep their crayons very neat and not use up their crayons. So we can take this all the way to the bottom of our page. So depending on your Sharpie, mine's kind of running out a little bit here. If you guys have any other kind of permanent markers that are waterproof, you guys can definitely use those. Or if you guys have black paint, acrylic works. The only reason I'm not doing the watercolor right now is just because you want to do that after you've painted your sky, or else your sky and your trees are kind of going to just bleed together. So our next step, we want to do our watercolor sky. And for today's project, we're going to do our sky, and we're going to use our blues or purples and kind of just try to lighten up the colors when we get closer to our trees. So if you're using the Sharpie and the crayon, you do want to go all the way to the bottom. I am going to be using our black watercolor to fill in these trees, and I will fill in this area at that step. You guys do want to add water to your palettes. So for the top of the sky, we can use purple. We can also add some blue. We do kind of want to darken up this area. Watercolor tends to be light, so you might have to build that up. now that we painted the sky, we can kind of set this on the side to let it dry, and we can work on our owl. So this is why I had two different sizes. This one is just going to be so I can draw my owl and then cut him out of the page and paste him onto our trees. So I can kind of decide how big I want my owl to be and whether I want to glue him on either one of these sides. I think I'm going to add my owl around this area. So I think I want my owl to maybe be about this big. So I'm kind of just marking on the page how big I want my owl. And I'm going to move my trees over so they can dry. So I have this page here just so I can show you guys how to draw different owls maybe. You guys can always play around with shapes. Your owl doesn't have to look exactly like mine, it can be different. So we can have an owl where he's kind of has a round head. And remember, owls always have their really big eyes, and they have these little ear tufts that aren't really their ears, kind of more like an ornament. The eyes are really up to you and how you want to draw those. You can draw those eyelashes on your birds. You can draw a beak. For the body, you can make it an oval. You can also play around with the wing shape or how you want your owl's wings to be. For their feet, I kind of just like doing these little triangles. Again, we can have like a little branch. You guys could also do owls with squared size or shaped heads. And again, the eyes are up to you, how you want to draw them. You could also decorate around the owl's eyes with shapes. Again, we want to add his claws or his feet. Another option you guys can do is you guys could also triangle shape, but you could also complement it with kind of round eyes. Maybe his body's just a rectangle with your owl shapes. Maybe one of your owls has his wing open. I'm just gonna do one owl, but if you wanted to, you could also do like a little family of owls. So now drawing my owl on my separate piece of watercolor paper. I'm gonna keep my owl with the squared shaped head, big eyes, oval shaped body. Also add a branch. So it's going to be up to you guys if you guys want to outline your owl. I'm going to leave him as a pencil sketch and just watercolor over him. Since my sky is purplish and blue, I'm going to be using orange and yellow to kind of complement those colors. So now I can let my owl dry and I can come back to my trees. So sometimes when you guys are waiting for watercolor to dry, you guys can always find something else to work on. Or you can also start just sketching out more owls. For this step, I'm going to be using the black watercolor to draw more trees on here. I don't So you do want your sky to be dry before you start adding more watercolor, especially black, because it will spread and just kind of bleed everywhere. So for our next step, we're gonna need scissors and we're gonna cut out our owl. So try to stay inside your lines, but again, we just wanna cut our little owl and his branch out. Okay, now coming back to our trees, we can now glue our little owl on our page. I think this is where I want my owl. So you always want to find the placement of anything you're going to glue before you glue. You guys can use a glue stick, you guys can use the liquid glue, it's up to you. I might have to add a little bit more of the liquid glue on here, or add a little bit more glue to my branch. So I think we're done with our owl and our night sky. If you guys want to add stars to your trees, you guys can, or not to your trees, to your sky. If you guys want to add stars to your sky, you guys can use white paint and you guys can splatter it. You guys could also use white gel pens and kind of just draw the stars in. So now we're done with our owl at night scene. And again, wait a while before you hold it up if you still have some wet spots on your watercolor. And I hope we see you again for the next video.